In 1982, Jim Henson and Henson Laboratories, a company known for its work with puppetry, released a full feature film to theaters. This film was titled The Dark Crystal, and it was a hit. People loved it. I loved it. It is, still to this day, one of my favorite movies of the year 1982. When compared to titles like John Carpenter's The Thing, love it, Conan the Barbarian, classic, Blade Runner, overrated, Star Trek II The Wrath of Khan, the best TOS film, and of course, The Last Unicorn, my wife would kill me if I did not put that one in here, it says a lot. And along comes Sierra Online, a company that's been churning out interactive fiction text adventures for a while now, most of them based on other people's work. So what better way to make another step forward than to do an official game adaptation for Henson? And it's a pretty faithful adaptation. If you know the movie, then you know most of what you need to do already. But do not let that stop you from trying. There are still a small number of changes, one of them being that the game is not entirely linear. There are parts that can be done out of order, or skipped in their entirety. An example, though we will have the opportunity to pick up and even use pebbles and a sling, they will make no difference on the end product of the game, and therefore we will just be ignoring them. Speaking of end products, there is no scoring in this game. It's either you win or you lose. There is no halfway. It is all or nothing. Now, this game was released on two platforms officially, the Apple II series and the Atari 8-bit. Both used 3 floppy disks, both sides. Mostly because of the amount of graphics in the game, which I have to say are a far sight better than that of previous games. There was also a Japanese release by StarCraft, but we will be using an Atari 800 XL. Check it out. Please insert Disc 1, Side B, and press Return. If the triangle appears blue, press the Start key. If it is not blue, press the Option key. This is one of those things that old games used to do in order to help calibrate which monitor settings you have. Now, from what I can see, this looks totally purple and not blue, so we hit the Option key. Jen is in a beautiful mountain valley. The mystics have a special name for it, the Valley of the Stones. Wishes us to enter a command. Now I've gone through and I've prepared the way I want to go through this with you, and we will be exploring together. There are times in the game where you just need to pass some time, and this is one of those moments where I could go any direction or just type look, and it will give me the exact same result. So we are going to just sit here and look. Before Jin can act, a mystic approaches and said, "Ursu, the wisest of our race is dying. He has sent for you. Come quickly." Then the mystic walks away. We're going to go east first, which is the opposite direction that we need to go, but we need to get ourselves some shale. Jin is standing on a mountainside covered with loose and extremely sharp shale. Let's get some shale, and then we're going to head back. From here, we need to go west a few more times. Jin is in the Valley of the Stones, so named for the circular formations of standing stones that lie within it. Go west again. Jin is in the Valley of the Stones. Towering above him to the west is a steep cliff. A cave opening beckons from the side of the cliff. West again. Jin is slowly walking within a dimly lit cave. The passage winds to the north and to the east. Let's go north. Jin is in a large candlelit cavern. Ursu, the wisest of the mystics, lies here dying. Beside him on the floor is a bowl of liquid. Let's talk to Ursu. Ursu sighs and says, "At the time of the last conjunction, or coming together, of our world's three suns, the evil S.A.G.A gained control of the great crystal that rules our destiny. The crystal cracked and darkened, and dark it will remain until the piece that was broken off, the crystal shard, is restored. There is a prophecy that the shard can only be replaced by a Gelfling hand, and only at the time of the next great conjunction. If this prophecy is not fulfilled, the S.A.G.A will grow even more powerful, and their reign will last forever. Jin, to you has fallen the task of healing the crystal, and it is time for your quest to begin. For very soon, the three suns will once again be joined in a great conjunction. You must find A.G.A, keeper of secrets and watcher of the heavens. She may have the shard you seek. Gelfling, I leave you with this final puzzle. What do the Sun Brothers quarrel about? Find the answer to this mystery and present it to A.G.A. Only then can you gain entrance to her observatory. And now, Gelfling, our roads must curve apart. We may meet in another life, but not again in this one." With these words, Ursu dies, and his lifeless body vanishes from the sleep frame. Jin is in a large cavern. And as you can see here, there is a bowl here. So let's look in the bowl. Looking into the bowl of potion, Jin sees the image of a crystal shard. That is all we can do here, so we are going to go south to get out of here. And then we will be heading east. And east one more time, putting us back where the Ring of Stones, in the Valley of the Stones. Let's have a look at these stones. Jin notices that the shadows cast by the standing stones seem to point north into the hills, toward a distant tree. We could go shadow or we could go north, and since I am often lazy, I am going to hit north. Jin is making his way along through a shadowy path that snakes through the hills above the Valley of the Stones. Here, we want to dig. Using the shale, Jin digs in the ground at the base of the tree and uncovers a strange-looking flute. Let's get the flute. Now we need to go north. Jin falls head over heels down a steep slope. Jin is traversing a wilderness of tangled vines, chattering blossoms, and wary creatures. We need to go north again. Jin is alone in the wilderness. Happily, there is a beautiful pond sparkling like a gem among the chattering flowers to brighten up Jin's loneliness. Croaking frog-like creatures abound on huge lily pads floating on the pond. Let's use the shale to cut a lily. Using the sharp shale, Jin cuts the lily pad away from its thick stem and takes it with him. Jin is in the wilderness. We are going to go east. There is a babbling brook splashing through the wilderness here. Chattering flowers and tall grasses line its banks. We can get pebbles here, but we're not going to use those. Instead, we're just going to listen to the brook. And it is going to respond by telling us directions. Jin listens carefully to the babbling brook. The brook, which seems to have a slight stutter, says E-E-N, N-N-Nen. To which we are now going to go east. Creatures scurry out of Jin's way as he walks through a wilderness of thick foliage and chattering flowers. East a second time. Jin is walking on an east-west path through what seems like an endless wilderness. The sounds of the wilderness have given way to an eerie hush. East a third time. Jin is on a path in the wilderness. The plants and animals here seem strangely quiet. The path heads west and north, so now we go north. Jin has arrived in a swampland where the ground is mucky and vines hang everywhere from enormous trees. North again. Jin is at the southern edge of a vast swampland that extends for miles to the east and west. Looking far to the north, he can barely make out what might be the swamp's boundary. If you double punch the return key, it will remove the image from your screen and you just get the text. Here we are going to use the lily. Floating atop the pad he cut from the water lily, Jin paddles north until he reaches a shallow portion of the swamp. As he gets off the pad, however, he forgets to grab hold of it and it floats away, hopelessly out of reach. Please insert Disk 2, Side A, and press Return. Jin is trudging through the northern edge of a vast swampland. Vines hanging from huge trees hamper his every step. To his horror, Jin sees a crystal bat hovering overhead. Its crystal eye is staring directly at him. We are just going to go north. Jin is wading through a murky swampland. The trees are draped with vines and slime covers everything. Go east. Jin is in an eerie swampland. Vines have come down from the trees and wrap themselves around him. The vines will not let go of Jin as he struggles to free himself. This is another one of the locations where it does not matter what we do. We just need to pass time. I could type look, I could type a direction, and for this illustration we're going to go our different directions. North. Jin can't, the vines are binding him too tightly. East. Same. South. And then west. Looking out from his vine prison, Jin finds himself returning the gaze of a single eyeball, thrust up among the tendrils by a withered hand. Let's talk to the eye. The hand holding the eye belongs to a strange and terrifying being. I am S.A.G.A, says the being, keeper of secrets and watcher of the heavens. Jin is in the swampland. Let's ask S.A.G.A. S.A.G.A says, Gelfling, you know the answer to riddle, huh? Yes, we know the answer. Tell me answer then, Gelfling. A.G.A snaps in patiently. Jen is in the swampland. The answer is the Moon Daughters. Very good, cackles A.G.A. She orders the vines to let go of Jen. Does not matter what we do, so we are just going to look at the room. Before Jen can even catch his breath, A.G.A goes north to her observatory. Jen, sensing that something important is about to happen, follows close behind. Jen is in the observatory of A.G.A, watcher of the heavens and keeper of secrets. A.G.A turns to Jen and says, "What you want?" "We want the crystal shard." A.G.A cackles. "That is all? Why not say so?" She sets 4 shards on the table, a blue one, a green one, violet one, and an orange one. "I never could figure out which shard belonged to Crystal," A.G.A says. "Maybe you can. Only can take 1 shard with you, though. And once you pick, not allowed to change mind, so choose carefully." So let's look at the shards. Which one is the right shard? We can ask A.G.A. A.G.A says, "Gelfling, you're wasting time. Hurry up and choose a shard you want." Jen is in A.G.A.'s observatory. If you've seen the movie, then you already know the answer is to play the flute. The flute issues a strange 2-toned chord. The blue shard begins to glow and sounds the same chord back. That means that we need to get the blue. And at this point we need to pass a few moments. So let's have a look at the observatory. The observatory is a domed building containing a huge spinning model of the 3 suns and their planets. There is a hole in the ceiling for observing the heavens. A door opens to the south, and along the west wall there is a small window. So why don't we go south? Because of the Gartham, of course. Jen freezes with fear as a vicious horde of Gartham, warriors of the evil Skeksis, launch a surprise attack on the observatory. To get out of here, we need to go to the window. Jin jumps to safety and none too soon. Glancing over his shoulder, he sees that the Gartham have captured A.G.A and set her observatory on fire. Jin finds himself mired up to his knees in an eerie bog. Luckily, the shallowness of the swamp here offers him at least the possibility of escape. Let's go south. Jin is in a swampland. West. Sinking to his waist, Jin has become hopelessly mired in a boggy section of the great swamp. With each passing moment, he slips further into the all-consuming muck. Let's get some help. Jin cries, "Help!" The girl grabs a long branch and helps Jin out of the bog. Please insert Disc 2, Side B, and press Return. The girl smiles and says, "I am Kira, and this fuzzy creature is my pet Vizgig. I thought I was the only living Gelfling, but then I guess you must have thought the same thing." Jin and Kira have entered a great forest. They are on the bank of a wide river which flows south. By the side of the river is a discarded shell of a giant beetle. Let's ask Kira. Using a Gelfling power called dream fasting, Jen and Kira are able to share thoughts and feelings without having to speak. Let's ask Fizzgig. The creature bares his many rows of pointed teeth and says, "Grrr." Let's try and push the shell. The beetle shell is too heavy for Jen to move. With a little help from Kira, however, he might be able to turn it over. Let's turn the shell then. With a mighty heave, they turn over the beetle shell, exposing a small pouch which had been hidden under the shell's hollow underside. Let's get the pouch. And while we are at it, open the pouch and look in the pouch. The pouch is full of smoke seeds. Let's look at the seeds. The seeds are bluish gray and appear to be hollow. Why not use the shell then as a method of transportation? Jen and Kira and Fizzgig climb into the overturned beetle shell and cast off into the current. Downstream, they beach the shell and make their way on foot to the pod village. Fizzgig looks really happy there. Jen and Kira have entered the pod village, the home of the gentle forest folk who have sheltered Kira since her early childhood. To his horror, Jen sees a crystal bat hovering overhead. Its crystal eye is staring directly at him. This is, again, a time where we're going to need to pass a little bit of time. So let's ask the podlings so that we can get a word I am incapable of pronouncing. The villagers tell Jen that the phrase pod people is a mystic rendering of, go ahead and read that, the name they use among themselves. Roughly translated, it means master gardeners who live in bulging plants. Let's look around. Jen and Kira have entered the pod village, the home of the gentle forest folk who have sheltered Kira since her early childhood. Let's look another time. We get the same response, but more. Jen and Kira hear a fearful clattering sound. Before them looms Agartham, one of the menacing beetle-like warriors who serve the Skeksis. Let's throw a seed. When the smoke seed hits the ground, it explodes in a dense cloud of smoke, allowing Jen and Kira to make good their escape. Jen and Kira are treading through a forest that has grown here undisturbed for centuries. The silence has a soothing effect on them. Now we are going to take a little side trip, an optional section that we do not have to do, but I think it is kind of nice to do anyway. Let's do it by going west. Jen and Kira stand in what remains of the pod village. There is no sign of life, and the homes of the villagers have been partially destroyed. Let's go south. Please insert Disc 2, Side A, and press Return. Notice we're backtracking on our discs. The Gelfling pair are wandering through the primeval forest. Strange creatures peer down at them from their perches. Let's go west again. Jin and Kira have wandered into the ruins of what appears to have been a Gelfling village. They are standing in front of a large wall. Nearby are 2 flat stones. Let's have them sit down. A momentary tremor shakes the ruins, and the wall emits a mysterious rumbling sound. Jin and Kira are in some ruins. Let's look at the wall. There are some usual hieroglyphics on the wall. Let's look at the hieroglyphics. Included in the hieroglyphics are pictographs of 2-pronged flute playing a crystal shard, a female Gelfling, and a castle. Also among the symbols on the wall is a drawing of a triangle inscribed with a circle. That is all we can do here, so we are going to go north now. A beckoning creature drifts into the ruins and says, "Once was Chamberlain of Skeksis, then new ruler gained power. Banish me from castle. Am tired of killing, want peace. Help you heal the crystal, follow me." The creature then heads south. That is the Chamberlain. And do not trust him, do not follow him to the south. Instead, let's go a different direction, to the west. Jin and Kira are in the thickly wooded forest where vine-like creepers hang everywhere from branches of ancient trees. Let's have a look at the suns because it's a neat little effect. Notice how close they are? The 3 suns are drawing ever closer together. And then we will go north again. And it wants us back on Disk 2, Side B. Jin and Kira are on the hill of the Landstriders. 2 long-legged beasts are grazing here. Let's call the Landstriders over. Kira calls to the Landstriders with a series of shrill chirps and clicks. The Landstriders bound joyfully up to the Gelfling pair. Let's jump on the Landstriders. Jin and Kira, still carrying their faithful pet S.A.G.A, climb onto the backs of the 2 Landstriders. Now we have a bit of riding to do. So we are just going to start heading west. Jin and Kira are traversing a craggy brushland with low bushes and scrubby vegetation. A hot, dry wind blows over the landscape from the west. Head west a second time. Jin and Kira have reached the eastern edge of a deep chasm, on the far side of which lies a vast barren desert. Let's go and jump over the chasm. With their long legs, the Landstriders have no trouble carrying Jin, Kira, and S.A.G.A safely to the other side of the chasm. Please insert Disk 3, Side A, and press Return. Jin and Kira are now on the west side of the treacherous chasm. An arid desert begins here and extends beyond sight to the west. Going to head west again. Jin and Kira are crossing a great desert on the backs of the Landstriders. The heat grows more oppressive by the minute. Let's go west again. Jin and Kira have entered a bleak, barren land. There is not a sign of life anywhere. The air here is still and sinister. Let's go south. The gelflings are riding through a dry, parched, empty land. Go south again. Jin and Kira are riding rapidly through the parched, cracked landscape. They see a hideous castle to the west. Look at the castle. The castle, looking evil and foreboding, shows the effects of centuries of decay. Jin and Kira are in a dry, barren land. Let's go west to the castle. Jin and Kira have arrived at a ravine surrounding the castle. Numerous Gartham, dread warriors of destruction, are approaching. The Gartham attack. Jin, Kira, and Fiskig are thrown to the ground at the edge of the ravine. One land strider is dead. The other is fighting a losing battle. A Gartham looms over the gelflings, ready to pounce. The situation appears hopeless. Jump! Jin and Kira, with Fiskig in her arms, are plummeting into the ravine that surrounds the castle. Amazingly, Kira spreads a pair of wings, slowing her fall. This is not how it happened in the movie, but we will have it by grabbing Kira. Jin has grabbed a hold of Kira, and together they are gliding slowly toward the bottom of the ravine. Jin, Kira, and Fiskig are at the bottom of a ravine that surrounds the castle. The ravine curves to the east and west. Before them, carved into the rock, is a stone face. Let's have a look at the face. The teeth of the stone monster are actually the metal bars of a gate. Just out of reach behind the bars is a closed door. Let's go west to the ravine. Jin and Kira and Fiskig are at the bottom of a ravine that surrounds the castle. The ravine curves to the east and west. Before them, carved into the rock, is a stone face. Let's try to open the door. The door is out of reach behind the bars. Jin, Kira, and Fiskig are in the ravine surrounding the castle. So what if we open the bars? It is locked. Now we use Fiskig. We send Fiskig. Where does Jin want to send Fiskig? To the bars. Jin and Kira send Fiskig through the bars of the gate. Jin and Kira are in the ravine surrounding the castle. Fiskig has disappeared through the jaws of the stone face. Let's call Fiskig. Before Jin can act, Fiskig comes bounding back through the bars of the gate with a key in his mouth. Jin, Kira, and Fiskig are in the ravine surrounding the castle. Let's unlock the gate. And then open the gate. When Jin opens the gate, the door behind it automatically swings open. Let's look at the suns before we go inside. Notice they are closer together. Now we are going to go for a little walk after changing discs, of course. Disc 3, side B. Jin, Kira, and Fiskig are in a foul-smelling underground sewer system. The tunnels veer off to the east, west, and south. To the north is a door on which the image of a serpent chasing its tail has been painted. Look at the serpent. The serpent on the door is the Skeksis symbol of power. The Skeksis myth teaches that it is seeking not to swallow its own tail, but the entire world. Let's go south again. Jin and Kira are trying to find their way through an underground sewer system. Here, the tunnel runs north and south. We shall go south. Jin, Kira, and S.A.G.A are in a foul-smelling underground sewer system. The tunnels veer off to the east, west, and north. To the south is a door on which the image of a serpent chasing its tail has been painted. Let's go west. Jin and Kira are lost in a maze of underground sewer tunnels. The tunnels here travel to the north, east, and west. Let's go west again. Jin, Kira, and S.A.G.A are in the sewer system. One passageway runs east. Strange sounds are coming from a passageway to the south. Let's go south. The Chamberlain suddenly rushes in from the dark reaches of the sewers and grabs Kira and S.A.G.A as he runs off with them. He touches an unseen lever on the tunnel wall and a shower of boulders cascades from the ceiling. Jin is alone in the sewer system. Passage to the east has been blocked by huge boulders and strange sounds are coming from the passageway to the south. At this point, there are multiple directions we can go. Well, only to the south to start with, but multiple ways we can run through this, and I've chosen to do the one that seems the most full. So we are going to go south. Jin has fallen to the bottom of a huge pit, startling several sleeping Gartham. They eye him warily, then advance menacingly. It looks like Jin is in trouble. Jin needs to run. Powerful claws slash toward Jin, narrowly missing the top of his head and smashing a hole in the wall beside him. Jin is in a deep pit. Obviously, we are going to go into the hole. Suddenly, a game of Tempest. Jin is perched on a precarious ledge halfway up a steep shaft. Below him, a flaming lake of fire. Floating above him is the dark crystal. There is a ragged hole in the shaft, through which fearful clattering sounds can be heard. Let's climb up. Jin has climbed up the shaft into the Chamber of Life. A steep stairway leads to the east. Here we are finding A.G.A. So let's make sure that's A.G.A. A.G.A has been tied up here. Since she was kidnapped by the Gartham, she looks worn out, which for her is really saying something. Jin is in the Chamber of Life. Let's see if A.G.A has anything to say. Ask A.G.A. No time, A.G.A warns Jin. Great conjunction very near. Better hurry and find your friend. Let's untie A.G.A. We really do not have to, but it seems like the nice thing to do. Okay, Jin is in the Chamber of Life. Now let's head east. Jin is in a north-south hallway. There are cracks in the walls and ceiling. To the west is a passage which leads steeply descending stairway. So we're going to go south. Jin hears the sound of footsteps approaching from the north. We're going to go south. Jin is at the southern end of a filth-encrusted north-south hallway. There are doorways to the west and the east. Jin hears the sound of footsteps approaching from the north. We're going to go hide by going into the closet to the west. As Jin darts through the doorway, he hears a group of Skeksis come down the hall and go into the room directly across from him. Jin is in the dark and dusty closet. There is a doorway to the east. Let's go ahead and go east. This is back to the hallway. And then go east again. This puts us in a dining room. Jin is standing in the doorway of a dining room. Seated at a long table near curtain-covered wall are several Skeksis. Unaware of Jin's presence, they are arguing loudly with each other. Let's hide behind the curtain. Jin gets behind the curtain and inches toward the Skeksis. When he is closer, he hears them arguing about a secret panel somewhere in the tower. He waits till no one is looking, then quickly he slips out from behind the curtain and leaves the room. Now I know where that secret panel is, and though it is not necessary, we're going to do it because it's so much more fun. So head north. Still in the hallway. Head north again. Because where we're going, we need to get something to allow us to work with that secret panel. Jin is at a junction of hallways, one running east and west, the other south. Signs of filth and decay are everywhere. I'm going to go west. There is a scepter here. Jin has wandered into the throne room. A large throne sits amid the filth that coats the deserted chamber. Let's get the scepter. And then after that, we need to examine the scepter. The scepter has a small hook on one end. Some flavor text. The throne is beautifully inlaid with the remains of once living creatures. Now let's get out of here by going east back into the hallway. And then we will go east again. Jin has reached the east end of an east-west passage. Through a doorway at the end of the passage, he can see a narrow ramp winding its way upward. Let's go to the ramp. Jin is standing on the rotting floor of a deserted tower. From here, a narrow ramp winds down to the hallway below. Let's have a look at the tower. There is a secret panel in the wall with a small latch in it. So let's open the panel. How? We want to pull the latch. The latch is too small for Jin's fingers, so let's use the scepter. How? Use the hook on the scepter. Using the hook at the end of the scepter, Jin pulls on the latch and the secret panel opens. So here we are going to go east. Jin is at the bottom of a narrow stairway, gazing upward. He is seized by a feeling of grave apprehension. There is an opening in the wall to the west. Let's go up the stairs. Jin has reached the top of a narrow stairway. Strange noises are coming through an open doorway to the east. Let's listen to the noises. Jin hears the sound of feet marching on a distant stone floor. Jin is at the top of a stairway. Let's go east again. Jin is on the balcony high above the crystal chamber. The Skeksis have gathered in a circle beneath the dark crystal. Their power ceremony, timed to coincide with the Great Conjunction, is beginning. Kira and S.A.G.A are with the Skeksis. So I want to look at the suns. Jin is momentarily dazzled by the sight of the dark crystal suspended in the great chamber below him. Jin is on the balcony above the crystal chamber. So let's just look. There's no time for that. Gartham are starting to enter the balcony from the doorway. I chose to do that. I could have just went and jumped right on ahead, but it seems more interesting to have the Gartham. So we are going to jump to the crystal. Jin has landed atop the dark crystal, but the impact has caused him to drop the shard, which now lies precariously on the brink of the shaft beneath the crystal. Jin looks up through an opening portal in the ceiling. The three suns are touching. Quickly, Kira picks up the crystal shard. She's about to throw it up to Jin, but the ritual master, drawn dagger in hand, warns her, "Give me shard, Gelfling, and you go in peace. Otherwise, no choice but to kill you." Does Jin want to save Kira? If you know the movie, you know the answer is no. Jin is going to let Kira die. Jin sits astride the crystal. Kira has thrown the shard up to him, and he holds it in his hand. The edges of the three suns are overlapping. Let's use the shard. As the three suns become one, and a flood of blinding light washes over him, Jin plunges the shard deep into the wound of the crystal. Jin has healed the wound in the crystal and restored it to its original brilliance. He is now on the floor of the crystal's chamber, which is bathed in radiant light. The Gartham are cracking and falling apart. The filthy walls of the castle are crumbling, revealing its original crystal impurity and beauty. The evil reign of the Skeksis is over. However, Kira, stabbed at the moment of the Great Conjunction, lies in Jin's arms. The Gelfling sobs uncontrollably as he cradles her lifeless body. So the most obvious solution? Kiss Kira. When Jin kisses Kira, she opens her eyes and the life that the Skeksis took from before Jin healed the crystal is rekindled. Finally, two Gelflings and all creatures can live peacefully together in a world in which harmony, after 1,000 years of darkness, has been restored. After all of that, you may be wondering why I skipped Time Zone. The obvious answer is, it's like 10,000 discs in size. Actually only 6 double-sided. And I wanted to finish Zork 3 before I took on something that large. Anyway, that was the Dark Crystal on an Atari 800 XL, and for a movie tie-in title, it's really not that bad at all. The graphics are recognizable, the characters are mostly on point, and the story is very faithful to the original source material. Overall, I have no complaints to give, and I give it a high passing grade. I enjoyed the stroll with this game down memory lane. Wait for it. Wait for it. Here it comes. Dude, like and or subscribe. Support the channel, get notified, leave comments, make requests. Seriously. Do it, and eat your vegetables. They're good for you, honor system and all. So be well, be kind, and I look forward to our next adventure together.